Welcome to another review, and I'm going to dip into the 70s music. Of course, the period of time where I was really completely obsessed with music. Taking My Time by Bonnie Raitt. Bonnie was born in 1949 on November the 8th, so she clocks in now at 74. Yeah, born in Burbank, California, and her first release was in 71. But Taking My Time is her third album, and there's some real gems on this album. I've loved this album since its release. A very eclectic musical mix of blues, folk, New Orleans, jazz, R&B, and there's also some calypso and beautiful ballads on this album. It is an album of colours, and she's excellent at doing renditions of original songs. Jackson Browne, I Thought I Was a Child, and Randy Newman's Guilty, to mention a few. I also like the love songs on this album. Two examples of that: I Gave My Love a Candle and Cry Like a Rainstorm. This third album is considered one of her strongest works, and in 1982 Bonnie herself revealed that the album was one of her favourite records to listen to. She's got an absolute stunning cast of musicians behind her, and they include, from Little Feat, Paul Barrere on electric guitar, Sam Clayton on congas, Lowell George steps up on slide guitar, of course Bill Payne chips in on organ and piano, and also featured on this album is one John Hall. He was an electric guitar player with a band called Orleans in the early 70s. And I got into some of their stuff, but he's featured here predominantly on production. Milt Holland also steps in on tabla and tambourine, and Jim Keltner, who else, on drums. And there's an appearance by Taj Mahal, and he chips in with some exquisite harmonica and acoustic bass. And finally, a couple of other stalwarts that are always forefront in my appreciation. Dyke Parks, he's on keyboards, and Cooder. Rye plays piano and keyboards here and sings backing vocals. So it's an impressive array of musicians. So let's get on to the tracks then. The opener is You've Been in Love Too Long. It's got some awesome soulful harmony vocals, infectious rhythm with that foot tapping bass and drums. Great start to the album. Track 2 is I Gave My Love a Candle. Here we get that exquisite romantic ballad. It's written by Joel Zoss, and it clocks in about 4 minutes. There's some beautiful piano. I guess it's Payne, but it could be Parks. And there's a lovely juicy guitar solo, possibly Barrere, and of course Bonnie up front on vocals and guitar. To track 3 then, Let Me In. This is a real oompa stomper New Orleans R&B jazz feel to it. You can imagine yourself in that bar with a beer in your hand, and you join in on hand claps. There's a tuba in there somewhere along with the horn arrangements, which gives the sax and trombone an air. And there's some beautiful piano from Parks. Bonnie, of course, is whipping up a storm with her infectious vocal style. And any listeners out there who can tell me about New Orleans, I'd be glad to read your comments. I've never been, and I would like to be in that bar and have Bonnie's band stomping to a packed crowd. So to track 4, Everybody's Crying Mercy. This is written by Mose Allison, and it's a slow blues gospel song sang exquisitely by Bonnie, as she really extracts all the juices of emotion with her vocals. And she's got such a beautiful soft voice. The highlights instrumentally has to be Taj Mahal's harmonica, which reminds blues buffs of Little Walter. A great song to catch the lyric, which very much focuses on religion and hypocrisy. A couple of lines that sum it up early on I'm going to read now for Everybody's Crying Mercy. Everybody's crying peace on earth just as soon as we win this war. Straight ahead, gotta knock 'em dead. So pack your kit, choose your own hypocrite. You don't have to go to off Broadway to see something plain absurd. Everybody's crying mercy when they don't know the meaning of the word. And it's conjured up in me what's happening currently in Gaza at the moment, with the US government trying to get the Israelis to slow the slaughter in Gaza. But they've already done their business, of course, in terms of weapon sales to Israel. The hypocrisy, and more on that lyric. Everybody's crying peace on earth, but just as soon as we win this war. Yeah, it's okay, love peace, after we've murdered millions. American foreign policy in a nutshell. So to the last track on the first side then, Cry Like a Rainstorm. It's written by Eric Katz, and as ballads go, this is probably right up there. It's one of my favourite tracks on this album. The vocals are absolutely delectable. You can almost feel the tears running down her face, and imagine Bonnie arriving in yet another town seeking out love after numerous disappointments. It's a sad love song for certain. I love the use of congas by Clayton, very much a Little Feat mould, and Taj Mahal again chips in again on harmonica. There's some great keyboard work, not sure who it is, and it's almost a lullaby that brings you to tears. I'm going to chip in with a lyric again because this is such a great song. So here goes. Life isn't easy, love never lasts. You just carry on and keep moving fast. I turned off the highway, pulled into a town. I'm fancy free, darling, and I've travelled around. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Tell me where we can. I run to tell me how have I sinned when you cry like a rainstorm and howl like the wind. Okay, so that finishes off side one. So the opener on side two is called Wah She Go Do, written by Calypso Rose. And what a perfect name for a writer for this song, because it's Calypso New Orleans style. The Big Easy with that rhythm and horns bleating in and out as Bonnie sings away, swinging her hips, because this is definitely stand up and dance type music. You can just imagine that bar in the Big Easy with all those horns creating this happy feel. I love the the hand claps on it as well, and there's lots of percussion. Milt Hodden turns up on tabla and timbales and tambourine, and there's the usual array of brass contributing alongside keyboards. The song, well, lyrically, let's have a little taste of it, shall we? I can understand why a woman must have an outside man. I can understand why a woman must have an outside man. A man who just wants to run like rat and have his wife to abide by that. Typical lyric, I suppose, of Calypso-style males who are full of life, but they are prone not to be too accepting of monogamy. They like to be a butterfly, and they want their woman to wait for them to come home. And after that, they've had their bit of fun out in the bar. There they are. This song isn't appreciated that much in religious circles or by many women, but it's very infectious and I love it. Next up is I Feel the Same, a tremendous slow blues, Bonnie on acoustic guitar, and Lal George makes his appearance on slide guitar here, and there's a third guitar right back in the mix, which is played meticulously, but it's very, very faint on my copy. Exquisite piano again, and there's no horn on this song. I'm sure Bonnie picks up on bottleneck guitar as well, and some great drums from Keltner. So next up is I Thought I Was a Child. This is the cover version of the Jackson Browne song I mentioned earlier. He recorded it on his second album, which was released in the same year as Taking My Time, and it was called For Every Man, worth checking out. The lyrics are just trying to capture that moment where you start to move out of childhood into adolescence and start seeking a different type of love, where interest in the opposite sex starts to appear over the horizon, and you realise that you're no longer really wanting to hold on to your childhood, but you're not quite ready to jump into full adulthood. You want the best of both situations, and consequently you're feeling a little bit alone. But when you see an interest from the opposite sex, maybe a smile, you get a rush of adrenaline, and it releases a little bit of freedom. there will be some lyric slides on this review, so keep an eye on them, because you'll then be able to read the full lyric. Next up then is a song which is more up-tempo. It's a great covers version, however, and it's called Write Me a Few of Your Lines, Kokomo Blues. It's a medley, and it's based on a very old traditional song written by Mississippi Fred McDowell, a man that Bonnie, as a young girl, had the opportunity of listening and watching him play. Very much a big influence on her. And this is his song, and it evokes a range of emotions, nostalgia, yearning, and a sense of peace, and it's supposed to transform you to a place of serenity, to momentarily escape reality. Sounds idyllic. Great track though. So we reach the final track then, and this is Guilty, written by Randy Newman. It's a bit of a confession about an addict to his love, that he wants to be someone else, but he's constantly keeps sliding back into the whiskey bottle or to the cocaine, and then he seeks forgiveness from his love. Relationships are just tied to the addiction. For the woman, it's not a pretty picture, but she's also desperately wants her man to change. Tremendous piece of music, slow ballad song, great horns back in the mix, almost like a bit of a wake really, and Bonnie pours her heart out to it. It's a tremendous finale. So that concludes this review. I do recommend that you get to listen to this album, and there will be links appropriately. Bonnie Raitt then, Taking My Time, 1973, and I absolutely adore it. I'm sure you will too.